Hello everyone and welcome to PSGL season 29 here for F9 round 1 on on the PlayStation side of PSGL. Welcome everyone to what should be an entertaining first round of the season. You've seen many of the other tiers so far already go ahead, and now it's F9's turn to take the helm as we prepare for the start of season 29. First two drivers are out onto the circuit now and preparing for qualifying here with just under 17 minutes to go. We're ready for what should be an exciting start to the season. I am your commentator Jackson, and alongside me is Storm. Hello Storm.
Good evening, and good evening to everyone in PSGL for F9 in Bahrain, a track that held its first race in 2004. It's held 17 Grand Prix in the F1 calendar, and it's definitely going to be an interesting one with some key areas on the track in turn 4, turn 10 and turn 1 as well, which can provide some spicy moments in the race, some probably fantastic overtakes as well. Good.
So I'm struggling to find the stream on YouTube so we can see your comments, which is odd. Sorry, brief pause here. And sorry. The stream is live, just not appearing for me, so apologies for that, viewers. Won't be able to see your comments for a while. Hopefully it'll sort itself out soon. But yes, welcome everyone. Qualifying has begun. First few drivers are out on laps now. Got a yellow flag already out on the circuit, which isn't ideal, but of course first laps of the season we're bound to see a few spinners and perhaps a couple of crashes as these drivers sort of just learn sort of the new season, the new game. Of course some of the drivers may have had a league race or two before this, and for others it may well be their first on the new game, so there's a balancing act between the field. Oh, that's the wrong button, sorry. Yeah, we've got a few drivers out on the circuit at the moment, a few on their flying laps, no laps posted just yet in the session. Everyone interestingly on the softs for the most part though, as I've just seen a couple have gone to the medium tyres. Here, going to be interested to see which strategy everyone goes for. We saw a range of strategies in other races so far, as the McLaren were on board with their nearly just lose twice, 2 moments going through the S section there as they fight the car. But we've seen a range of strategies so far through the races, so I'm sure we'll see the same here today, as drivers throughout the field attempt different things in a bid to try and get themselves onto the top step of the podium.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting first race because everybody wants to give a good performance for their respective teams. Just reading in the comments in the chat, everyone asking for obviously the F1 Esports Drivers Champion, which is Jarno Otmir. This isn't his tier. If it was, I think he would be above and beyond everybody. You'll be after the PC PSGL F1 tier, the top tier on PC. So unfortunately we haven't got Jarno here this evening, but we have still got 19 fantastic drivers around the Bahrain circuit, which holds at least 2 circuits that we've seen in F1. The short circuit, which we saw famously George Russell in the I nearly said Williams in the Mercedes, and then we saw the fantastic battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in the Sakir Bahrain a few months ago.
First drivers have set lap times now. So McLaren atop the time at the moment with a 1:25.0, so that's a very strong first lap here. But we imagine that we'll see these guys dip well into the 24s in qualifying here, as these guys prepare for perhaps their second laps of the session. Got quite a few comments already, so thank you everyone that is joining us already so early on in the F9 round 1. Lots to play for so far. So only 8 drivers have set laps so far. That could be a range of issues such as invalidated lap times, which of course is very easy to do here at the Bahrain circuit. It could also be drivers perhaps saving a set of tyres for the race and going out a bit later, perhaps watching some of the other drivers' laps to try and see if they can find any tips and tricks to do for when they go out on the track. However, I'm sure a lot of these guys have put a lot of time into practicing for this race and at least know the basics of getting around this place. But at the moment, I've got 11 drivers with a lap time on the board. However, not all of them very competitive. Of course, I've got a 144.9 from Nicolas in the Ferrari. On the mediums, I mean, the mediums are a little bit slow on the soft, but I think it's fair to say it's a mistake on that first lap for him, or he's backed out of it. As he'll probably be going for it again now, in a bid to get himself a bit further up the order, as you see cars darting out of his way to avoid blocking him in qualifying. Of course, it is one of the tracks that's easier to get out people's way on. However, still, with 19 cars on the track, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Heading up the hill now goes Nicolas on the medium tyres, struggling for traction coming out there through what has always been a flat-out right-hander, but of course we have sometimes seen that the drivers will struggle, perhaps especially early in the race. We'll see lifts through that corner as the heavy cars don't have quite the same levels of grip, especially if they're on a harder compound of tyre, preparing for the long-term strategy in the race. Let's see, Nicolas comes across the line and goes 10th, so that's a decent lap on the medium tyres, 1.5 seconds off the pole. Of course, I don't know about you, Storm, but for me, I'm new to most of the field here, so I won't know sort of the general pace. I won't know if these guys have set good laps for them or bad laps, or whether they're old or new to the league racing community. All I know is the lap times, so for the first race of the season, that's what I'll be focusing on. And we'll see how these drivers play out, which drivers end up consistently fighting at the front, and which drivers perhaps consistently spend more time battling at the back end of the points, just to give us a rough idea of who the drivers will be battling for this championship. Of course, though, in league racing, especially across all league racing and in the esports themselves, and especially in the higher tiers of PSGL, we see such close fields that it's impossible to really say it's impossible to say till after the final race who exactly the top driver is. But it's always just so competitive, and the drivers are setting the first lap soon. I'm sure it won't be long until we see drivers come out for their second laps of the session. But a few drivers coming into the pits now to put on a fresh set of tyres.
Yeah, just to take a quick note, there's one of the Mercedes in turn 4. I didn't quite catch who it is, as I'm on board with one of the Williams drivers, which is Black Yoshi. He's one of the Mercedes drivers. Did spin in turn 4. I don't think they've DNF. No, they haven't. So hopefully they can spin the car back round and get back into the pits, potentially for another run on whichever compound they choose. Interesting to note, both the Williams drivers are incredibly different on the gap between each other, as we've seen Black Yoshi now in P6 on the softs with a 125.3, but his teammate Carlsbury is on the mediums with a 127.1. So obviously different strategies from both Williams drivers, as there is a new poll, well, a provisional poll, I believe, which is out from. It is. I'm going to really struggle to pronounce names. Which is Carwin Rob. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I believe you're right there.
Going first into the 1 minute 24s with a 1:24.8 on the soft compound tyres. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one, as his teammate has gone for a spin, it looks like, in turn 9.
I believe it's one of the Haas cars of height.
Oh, is it?
Height Skulls, I'm going to go with for that. That is one of the Haas cars who has had a bit of a spin. But qualifying is not too much of an issue. And, you know, a lot of the times in qualifying, if you're struggling for grip, often you'll see drivers, especially this early in the session, often spinning quite a lot, and especially if they spin once on the lap, spinning a few more times, as they try to sort of find the limit, searching that limit, and especially through corners where you can take that little bit more of a risk, and you can get away with a small spin or a small slide. I mean, there's some corners, of course, around here that you won't want to be going anywhere near the sort of the risky side of things. That S section is particularly tricky, especially if you lose it late on that exit curb, heading into the hairpin. You could quite easily find yourself in the barrier. So It's about choosing where to take the risk, and as speaking of taking risks, that was Scholes going off again, but this time entering the pits. Perhaps they're going to go for another run there. And again, taking these risks, it's fine to take these risks early in the session. It's just about calming it down a bit for the final few runs, and of course for the race, and avoiding these issues. But of course, if you find the limit in qualifying, you don't have to really worry quite as much in the race, because you know what your car can do, and you should have some more trust in your car come the end of the day.
Yes, it's quite an interesting one, because MMT, Ethan and FVR Bandini have left it with 6 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. The two Mercedes driver, one on the soft, one on the mediums, they're both on their out lap, so this is going to be an interesting one. I think with them two now the only two not to set a lap, as one of the Aston Martin drivers has gone even quicker and set a provisional pole time lap of a 1:24.7, so knocking off the Alfa Romeo into P2. For the moment, there's still 6 minutes left on the clock for the drivers to set their fastest lap possible, ready for that race.
So the Aston Martin at the top of the timesheets now, but as you said, 6 minutes left. It's all still to play for. It is interesting to see what these Mercedes are doing, especially seeing as they're split on strategy. So you would assume that there's been perhaps some issues in the session. I believe Bandini could well be his first time out of the pits, I'm not sure. But he is now beginning his lap on the medium compound tyres. It'll be interesting to see how he can do on the medium tyres. I don't really know the relative delta myself between the softs and the medium tyre, so I would imagine though to sort of be within a second on the medium tyres, within a second of the sort of quickest time, that would be quite an achievement, perhaps a little bit closer. But it's going to be, when you do go for this medium qualifying strategy, you have to set a very clean, but at the same time almost a very perfect lap, because unlike with the soft tyres, you only have the one set of mediums. So if you go for a spin, or if you have a bit of a slide or make a mistake on your lap, that's it for that sort of strategy choice, unless you just commit to not setting a lap at all, or qualify outside the top 10 and get free choice tyres. Because if you mess up your lap on the mediums, if you do choose to go for another lap on the mediums, of course you're going to add more wear, which, given that they have just with learning the new game, I guess you learn the new track limits, as that is an interesting line there from Bandini. I mean, it would destroy the floor in real life, but it's clearly working for him so far on this lap. But it's going to be interesting to see, of course, if you do ruin that set of mediums, you can't use them again, because then you'll wear them out for the race, and you just find yourself digging yourself a hole, really. So you really do have to nail the lap on the medium tyres, and you just can't make any mistakes, unlike when you go for the softs. So Bandini coming around the final corner now, on the limit. DRS is opened up. Where is Bandini going to go? On the timesheets on the medium tyres, only 15th place. So that is not an ideal time there for Bandini. 9/10 off the next car up the road. So that's not been a great lap for Bandini there, but perhaps that is just where the medium tyres are at the moment. Although 1.8 seconds off the top isn't ideal, and perhaps there is a bit more time in that lap, but of course, as I said, if you go for that second lap on the medium tyres, you do dig yourself a hole for the race, and sort of take away some of the advantage from going to that medium tyre strategy.
Yeah, as MMT Ethan has invalidated his lap and has gone straight back into the pit, so he's gonna hopefully go back out again if he has time to even get back out and set a lap. He's the only driver in the grid now to not set a lap, so it's definitely going to be interesting with the few minutes left, with roughly around about 3 minutes, as it's the timer is being covered by the yellow flag, which is in sector 3.
It is one thing I've noticed on this game, as Carl's it might have been a warm-up up there for him. One annoying thing about this new game is that when you do have a yellow flag in qualifying, it brings up the drivers you're watching, as demonstrated here. The driver you're watching is how many laps they've done in the session, which of course, if there's a yellow flag and sort of towards the end of the session and you don't know if the driver's going to make the start-finish line to begin their lap, it sort of ruins the tension a little bit. But the drivers luckily don't have to deal with that, so it's just a bit of an annoyance for us commentators, as A lot of the time in qualifying there will be quite a few yellows, especially because you can have yellows for drivers letting other drivers through in qualifying. So the yellow flags aren't even necessarily a car that's gone around. But of course it's one of those things that we just, I suppose, have to get used to. As there is 2 minutes and 20 seconds left remaining in this session, as drivers are either in the pits just about to leave them and go for their final runs, or are out on the track preparing or on their final runs as we speak. As Carlsberg in the Red Bull makes his way up the hill on the medium tyres. Not many drivers have tried the medium tyres. He is clearly committing to them. Well, you'd assume he is, because I doubt he'd be able to get back into the pits and out in time for a soft run. So this looks like it could well be a back of the grid starting position for Carlsberg. Berry, sorry, I can't see. So as he comes across the line on the medium tyres, and is it no fair, 5/10 improvement, so he's painfully close to FVR Bandini there, as he sets quite a good lap on the mediums, but still the medium tyres just don't look to have anywhere near the pace. As we see a Haas pop out of nowhere there. But the medium tyres not looking good. I mean, what do you think about these medium tyres here? As it looks like almost everyone's abandoned them. How good are they going to be in the race?
Yeah, it's an interesting one that Carlsberg is the only now medium runner. He's leaving it rather late if he was to even go for a soft run. He's on the mediums again, so he's trusting the medium compound tyre, because obviously he wants potentially the better compound tyre for when the other drivers are on the medium. So he's going for the alternative strategy, the medium to soft tyres. So he's currently on, well, it's saying he's flying lap, but I don't think he's doing his flying lap at the at the moment. But there is a sector 1 and sector 2 yellow flags, as Ethan is on a flying lap. He's coming now through turn 9 and turn 10. Turn 10 can be a very tricky one if you do get your braking point completely wrong, because it is a very tight corner as he now comes through. He wants to get straight back on that power and hit that DRS as quick as he can in to now turn 11.
Batuka in the McLaren is only 3 milliseconds off of the top time at the moment. That is painfully close for the McLaren driver there, as his session not quite what he wanted, but Carwin Robb's going to come across the line and does not manage to improve his lap time there. He was close through sector 1, close through sector 2, but it would seem a mistake, and sector 3 has cost him, as Black Yoshi goes to the top of the time sheets there, only by 100th and a bit, but Black Yoshi goes to the top of the times for Williams. But can the Aston Martin of Taimurazim, apologies if I'm getting these names wrong, please do correct me if I am, in the Aston Martin, he is well up on his time at the moment, so this could well be the pole time here for the Aston Martin driver through the final corner. He'll use all the road and exit without invalidating a good exit there, and DRS is open across the line. Where's it going to go? It is back to the top by 300ths of a second exactly. Taimurazim goes to the top of the timesheet and takes provisional pole. Is there anyone out there that can take it away from him?
Well, it's not looking likely at the moment, but who knows? Anything can happen in league racing, especially in qualifying. We can have some upsets, we can have some fantastic moments as well, as it looks like most of the drivers are finished in their qualifying. Hyped in the Haas did say the car didn't feel that great around the track, so he's probably thinking he can maybe go a little bit quicker if he had maybe the right setup, but he's currently sitting in P11 with the Haas with a 125.1 on the soft compound tyre, so it's going to be an interesting end to the qualifying.
As it appears everyone has completed their lap times now, so Taimurazim will take the pole position here for round 1 of the season here in F9. The Aston Martin driver only by 300ths of a second, so he could be in for a very exciting race here, as the field is just so close. I mean, that sort of top few drivers are well within a tenth of a second of each other. It is truly fantastic to see. But yeah, that is your pole sitter there, the Aston Martin of Taimurazim. That's either the best place to start for the race. However, some may say that 11th could be the place you want to start, especially you're only 4 attempts off the pole time, as Hype Skulls is. but it is pole for Timer Azim. Black Yoshi in second, who late in the session made his way up the order. Third, Patuka in McLaren again. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing anyone's names. But yeah, as there's a Ferrari in fourth. I'm very sorry. I will have to ask before the next race how to pronounce your name, because I don't think Kierkegaard is what I'm going to go with for today, and I am very sorry if I'm completely butchering that. Carl and Rob in fifth. Yeah, it's just so close, and we got the top 6 covered by 2 temps. It is fantastic to watch, and we'll see how these things go.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one now for the race. Obviously, the 11th to 19th will have the free tyre choice, so I suspect most of them will go for the medium compound tyre to start on, as they will want to keep their soft compound tyre for later in the race, or if there's any safety cars, hopefully there isn't, and we have a clean, fantastic race, as we will now wait for the drivers to get their setups ready and their fuel and their strategies all ready, as we will take a lap around on the formation lap.
So now we prepare for these drivers to take to the track today. It was an exciting qualifying session that we really didn't know who was going to be on pole until the final laps of qualifying. Let's hope we have a race just as exciting. As these drivers, well, maybe it's some pre-race nerves preparing for this one, as with such a close field. I mean, you lose one place, you could well lose quite a few as the drivers prepare for their formation lap. Let's have a look at which tyres everyone is on for the race. Let's bring that up there. So the tyres, I mean, you may well have guessed that, but there's the confirmation. But let's quickly run you through the grid for today. Timer Azim will, as you know, start on the pole position for Aston Martin, with Black Yoshi lining up alongside him on the front row of the grid for Williams. Patuka in third for McLaren, a strong effort there for the McLaren driver in qualifying. Kierkegaard for Ferrari, fourth, lining up on the second row and completing the second row. He'll be looking to get a good start and perhaps jumping one or two of the drivers up ahead as they battle for the lead. Carl and Rob in fifth for Alfa Romeo. It's an interesting place to be, sort of starting to fall into the pack now, so he's going to want to make sure he avoids any lap 1 incidents and prepare himself for a good race on these soft compounded tyres. Daniel for Alpine starts 6th, with Jamie in 7th place. Effie Albandini is starting 8th for Mercedes. He was I don't think he set a time for most of the session, but he popped up into 8th late on, so it's good recovery there for the Mercedes driver on the soft compound of tyres though, as all of the top 10 are on the soft tyres. Nicolas in 9th in Ferrari, so both Ferraris in the top 10, it's a good qualifying for them. As with the Williams, both Williams in the top 10, as Dudley completes the top 10. However, that is the last of the cars starting on the soft, so not necessarily the best place to be, not only one of the worst places to be. Then pole for the reverse grid strategy, not reverse grid, reverse alternative strategy. So there's nearly been a crash there on the formation lap. Scholes is starting on the medium compound tyres for Haas. He'll be looking to make some recoveries in the race, and with that reverse strategy could well get himself well inside the top 10, maybe even fight for the win. GTX for Alfa Romeo, followed by Pordy, Collar Killer, Dan, Jetsy, Ethan, Royal Harvey and Carlsbury bring up the back of the grid.
As now the drivers are getting into their grid slots for Lights Out in PSGL for season 29 in the PS4 tier for F9. We are moments away from Lights Out. We'll just wait for the final drivers to get into their grid slots, and we'll wait for the green flag from race control. As we hit 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's Lights Out, and away we go. Who is going to get down into turn 1? There's going to be a battle, I think, between Black Yoshi and the Aston Martin driver. It looks like going into turn 1, they're both side by side. Anyone going to get any slipstream from, as it looks like Black Yoshi is going to go down the inside coming into turn 4. He's going to try and go for the move. There's been a yellow flag in sector 1. any incidents to report?
It all looks pretty clean so far throughout the field. Timer Azim had a bit of a not the greatest of starts. It does look perhaps one of the McLarens does have damage here, as that is a spinner at the back. And it is Ethan who's gone off spinning at the back. The Mercedes have had awful starts here down at the back of the field. They'll be struggling to make their way back up the field and up the order now. But at the front it is Timer Azim, who had quite a shocking of a start actually. And briefly lost the lead going to turn 1 to Black Yoshi, but a good fight back for the Aston Martin driver to take the lead back in this race, and now his aim will be to pull away.
Yeah, as we've already seen, somebody has retired. That is Royal Harvey, and there's a virtual safety car, so the drivers will have to now reduce their speed, hopefully keep within the green delta, as they don't want to go into that red delta because it will incur a drive-through penalty, and in league racing that is the worst thing that you want to have. One of the Alfa Romeo drivers has already got a 3-second time penalty. I believe the leaderboard is a little bit glitched at the moment, as we are waiting for the split gaps between the drivers, as Black Yoshi looks like it. No, he's in P2. Yep. The Aston Martin is still at the front, leading under the virtual safety car.
The timing is very glitched here. Second lap, as sadly is the case a lot of the time in this the Codemasters F1 games, as it's a drive-through penalty for Jamie, who is in, well, I'll be honest, I don't know where, and he's lost position there to his teammate already on the restart. So not only has he got a drive-through penalty, but it's been an awful restart here for Jamie in the Haas car, as Porty gets a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flag. So it's been an action-packed restart here as we get back to green flag racing. It is, ignore the timing screen, Ty Murazim still in the lead of this race. And let's see, can he pull away here? Or can Black Yoshi start to catch back up as they make their way up the hill now? Black Yoshi had a good start, wasn't quite able to make the most of it then. You can see Ty Murazim just up the road, but you can also see him pulling away out front, so he'll not want to see that continue throughout the race. We did have a few drivers pit under that virtual safety car, including Bandini, Carlsbury, and I believe Ethan as well, as he now does drop into the right position. So perhaps some of those trying to use that virtual safety car to gain a few positions and also to repair some damage. But already with over a second lead, I think I'm actually, you know what, I can't even tell you with that appearing on the timing screen. What I think is over 1 second gap already for Ty Murazim, as he begins to stretch out his advantage at the front of the field. Got pole by only 3 attempts, but already flexing the muscles of the Aston Martin car, and with a good start, as he does not, Black Yoshi does not have DRS, so that is over a second lead for Ty Murazim, as Yoshi leads the second group of cars, and I imagine Patuka and Kierkegaard will be looking to get past Black Yoshi and perhaps see if they can catch back up to Ty Murazim in the lead of the race. Although it looks like it may have been a bad set there for Ty Murazim, as it does appear that Black Yoshi has caught back up. But I'm sorry everyone for the timing on the left hand side. It is hopeless.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah. There is a little bit of a fight for that third podium place between the McLaren, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, as we can see on track. It's a three-way battle for the constructors, obviously, as we know, very close in real life between Ferrari and McLaren. Not so much Alfa Romeo at the moment, but it'll be very interesting to come later on in the race to see where the three drivers are when they make their pit stop. But it's all still to play for. 3 laps are done, but we still have 26 laps remaining, as drivers have now got the DRS. I think the timing is now being fixed so it should be back on your screen as well.
Indeed it is. Let's hope it's correct this time. But Black Yoshi there, but quite a good lap. Perhaps he's pushed a little bit harder than Ty Murazim, but he has caught back up throughout that lap and is now starting to put a bit more pressure on for the leaders. There's the battle there for 4th place between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari. Colin Robb going around the outside. That would be quite a good move if he pulls it off, but it's squeezed to the outside, and Kierkegaard does hold on to the position as they make their way down through the S section here, and they both live for another day and get through the hairpin. Kierkegaard though starting to struggle just a little bit, nearly out of the DRS of the driver in front of him. So let's see, can he get back into the fight with less pressure from Carmen Robb, or will Cohen Rob put the pressure back on to Kierkegaard and perhaps get up into the 4th placed position? Cohen Rob not going for it here, and he's going to wait a bit longer here, as it would have been perhaps a slightly unwise move to send it from that far back into such a corner. But Cohen Rob, he is looking like one of the quicker drivers here, certainly looking a little bit quicker than Kierkegaard. But this early in the race, it could just be one of the a small mistake from Kierkegaard that's hurt him on the exit of turn 3 and then up the hill. But it does look like he is starting to catch up a little bit to Patuka in 3rd place, so it is closing back up at the front as the top 5 really have broken away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, just looking between the Ferrari driver and the Alfa Romeo driver, it seems to be that the Alfa Romeo driver is using a little bit more of the track, not to the point of, you know, where he's going to track extend it and get a penalty, but it may be the difference where he's able to close that gap up. He has got a penalty at the moment, what he got on the first lap. Sector 1, yellow flags.
It is Dulcie, I believe. No, it isn't. Wait, no, it is. Sorry. Yep. Dulcie, has had a spin coming out of turn 3 there. He's having a battle with a couple of other cars. That's another slow car, and that's coming out of the pits there. That was Jamie, who's had a bit of an interesting pit there, yet causing some yellow flags. Maybe that was just a slow apex of turn 1 because of the pit exit, or maybe he has had a little bit of a spin on pit exit. But with that drive-through penalty for him, that's taken him out of the fight for points. At least it would appear that way, unless we have any incidents further up the order. As Daniel has blasted past Nicholas down the back straight, would appear to assume it's been a mistake from Nicholas there to lose that much time down that straight, because it isn't as long as some of the other DRS zones here at Bahrain. But the battle up front is still very, very close, and Cohen Rob continues to put the pressure onto Kierkegaard, but Cohen Rob does already have a 3-second time penalty, which I believe he actually got on lap 1, so I would perhaps suggest there may be an issue there, as that's Jetsy, who has gone for a spin. He's lost his entire front wing. The virtual safety car is deployed here in Bahrain for the 2nd time today. Will we see any pitters? Yes, we will. Now, a lot of the leaders had already missed the pit lane there, so this could have big implications in this race. Most of the front of the field had passed the pit entry. However, Daniel and Nicholas, who were battling over what I believe was around about 8th place, have both been able to pit onto the hard tyres. These two drivers will most likely be able to get to the end of the race. And these guys with the alternative, well, a shorter pit stop basically, they will gain a bit of time in theory. However, those hard tyres, I mean, Nicholas has gone to the mediums, as I don't know why it's showing him like that, but Nicholas has gone to the mediums, so he will have to pit again in this race. Daniel, however, perhaps if he stretches those tyres out, demonstrates some fantastic tyre saving skills, he may well just be able to take those in the race, in which case he could well come out in the net lead when all the leaders pit. However, those tyres, if he does take them to the end, are not going to be in the best shape come the end of this race.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting first 6 laps with the two virtual safety cars. A few drivers have opted for the hard compound tyres, as we are now back under racing. As we've already got, I believe, there's a Williams, which is not Hype, that will be his teammate. No, Hype is Haas. It's so confusing because Williams is normally a white colour.
We could have a battle for the lead here, as I believe they will do, as Black Yoshi is behind Timer Azim, heading down the straight. DRS, ERS, all enabled. He's going to go to the outside of turn 1. Black Yoshi going to try around the outside of turn 1. It's a hard broken zone. It's tough to get around the outside there, because your rival may well just push you off the road. But now, trying to get the slingshot coming up the hill through turns 2 and 3. Can Black Yoshi get to the inside here? Going into turn 4 here in Bahrain. To the inside. Very tight line to the inside, and there is contact. Just about holding onto the car there, Black Yoshi, but he could well lose the position to Patuka, Patuka does have to run off the road there. He's going to go around the outside of the S section. Can Patuka pull this one off? He does, but can Black Yoshi come fighting back into the hairpin? No, he can't. It's their wheel-to-wheel behind. Again, Carwin Rob and Kierkegaard are battling. Kierkegaard forcing Carwin Rob off the road there on the exit of the hairpin, down diving into turn 10. They all look like they've survived just about here. But that bit of an incident there for Black Yoshi. He had tried to take the inside line on Timerazim for the lead, but for me, it seemed like he went a bit too tight and it broke a little bit too late and rubbed with the Aston Martin, and that cost him the position to second place as Patuka now looks to try and break his way back into the DRS. But that has given Time Regime a prime opportunity here to try and stretch that lead now that he doesn't have his rivals within DRS range.
Yeah, interesting battles up in the top 5. As we saw it... Oh, as one of the McLaren, he's blinked first, which he is now going to go and try and maybe potentially do the undercut. As we've got one of the Ferraris on the back of which is Kierkegaard. He's going to go down the inside, round the Williams, and gets that second place in turn 1. Hopefully he keeps the position as they are now going to go into turn 4. He's going to try and break that toe, as one of the Alfa Romeos is now going to try and, I think, go for the move as well. He's had a look, but the door got closed on him. He's right on the back of the Williams driver, or Black Yoshi. Is he going to go for it? It's really tight. He's going to go. He's gone for a late move, and he has got the move done. It looks like it. They're side by side still. This is going to be very close because they are now coming into turn 10. As the Haas of Hyped is late on the brakes and has got the move. Black Yoshi is losing positions corner by corner at the moment. As they now come into turn 11, Black Yoshi, within a few corners, has lost 2 to 3 positions.
It's not going well for Black Yoshi at the moment. Those soft tyres, it appears he's struggling a bit more than the others on those soft compound tyres. Scholes is absolutely flying here on the medium tyres. This appears to be sort of the stage of the race where the medium tyres do really take control of the race, as their grip compared to the one out softs is, well, substantially more, as that is Black Yoshi unsurprisingly coming into the pits there. These guys that are pitting now will definitely go to the hard tyres as Skolj, I'm very sorry for the pronunciation, goes up the inside into turn 1, and Colin Robb is going to fight him back around the outside of turn 2. That was close, but he does get the position back and will have DRS as they come up the hill. Skolj is going to have to try and fight his way back, but without DRS there's nothing he can do to try and retake that position.
Yes, it's definitely now heating up in with the first 10 laps, especially between Hype and one of the Alfa Romeo drivers. It seems like they're battling for that final podium place. So they're 8 laps on the mediums. They can go for a little while longer yet, but I think the mediums are just coming in to the right area now. As I corrected, the Alfa Romeo driver is on the soft compound, so he should be pitting roughly around about this lap. But he has got a penalty, so at the moment Hype is net P3, if it was to say the way it is at the moment. It's been relatively quiet on the track limits this evening, only 2 drivers with time penalties. Obviously we had the drive-through penalty from Jamie in the first VSC, as most drivers have now pitted on like the top 3, which I believe will be in the pits, not this lap, as they have all now gone past the pits. Anybody in the top 3, as we've got a battle between Hyped and the Alfa Romeo driver as he goes down into turn 1. It looks like Hype, should I say, has already got the move done as they go into turn 2 and 3, and he's off into the distance already.
So Hyped up into 3rd place there, using those mediums to the best of his abilities there in the Haas car, really making those tyres work at the moment. Perhaps going to put a bit of pressure on the top 2 as let's see him through the S section now. Does look like he has a little bit more grip, as Kierkegaard is going to use a little bit more curb than him as he makes his way through the hairpin now. Kierkegaard is really being cut into here as Hyped makes his way down into turn 10. We'll see the difference in grip, making their way into the braking zones of one of the toughest corners in Formula 1. And Hyped does close up again. This could be a chance to make the move down the back straight. Another DRS zone. There's 3 of them here in Bahrain. Can Hyped make the move? No, he's a bit too far back on this occasion. I imagine we'll see the soft drivers here, those that are looking to go to the perhaps a safe hard tyre, going to be pitting a lap or 2. Perhaps we'll see someone risk it and try and go soft to medium. It'd be a brave one, but perhaps we could see one attempt that. Perhaps one of the more experienced drivers could do that, but Hyped sitting behind Kierkegaard at the moment. As we do have yellow flag, and that's a spinner. It's Pordy who has spun down the tricky S section in Sector 2 and has spun He was out of the points anyway, but that's gonna a tough one for him. But now the top group of drivers pit, including race leader Timer Azim in the Aston Martin. He is equipped with the medium compound tyres. They are trying a risky one here, as there is yellow flags out in sector 3. That is a spinner. It is Daniel, I believe. Yes, it is. Daniel spun without losing any wing, but that is a spin for the Alpine of Daniel. But the top 3 soft runners have come into the pits now, which puts Hyped in the lead of the race for the Haas F1 team. And he's got GTX just behind him, and they have a big gap over the next medium runner of Collar in 3rd place. But these two, they can't battle. Surely they've got to work together here and avoid any sort of battling to make sure that they don't lose any more time than they have to, really, given that they are on these worst tyres at the moment. As off the road goes Hyped, he's gone from pressuring the soft runners. Now that he's under pressure himself, he is starting to struggle here. And GTX is proving to have strong pace. Perhaps he saved a bit behind that group of cars and let Hyped take the fight to them, and then when they then pitted, he could use the rubber to get past his fellow medium starter. They head their way down the back straight now. GTX looking to try and perhaps, I mean, the speed he appears to have over Hyped. Perhaps he will go for the overtake. However, he has gone through, I believe, a lot more ERS than his rival, so if he does go for the move, I'm not sure if he'll be able to pull it off, as they both stay out another lap. Hyped is defending here, and GTX is pushing to try and take the lead, but with not much ERS, it's going to be a tough one to do. But the power of DRS is strong enough to get him alongside into Turn 1. He's going to go all the way around the outside of Turn 1. Surely not. Is late on the brakes, too late on the brakes, and can't get it done. But now, can he get the slingshot coming up the hill? Heading up towards Turn 4 now. Is he going to do it? No, because Hyped has the DRS from when they went wheel to wheel into Turn 1. He pulled out ahead too early going into Turn 1, and braking late has gave his rival a DRS and ensured that he would not be able to make that overtake stick. As you have battled further down the order here, those that have pitted onto the mediums are in a bit of a pack here, battling those that have pitted maybe slightly earlier. Looking at where Timer Azim has come out, he has come out second of those who have already pitted, because Patuka, he has already pitted and onto the hard compounded tyres. He has undercut them all here, as there's a battle here between Colin Robb and Kierkegaard battling again in this race. So that is Black Yoshi going up the inside. Bit of an opportunistic one there on the hard compound tyres. He's just not going to have the grip that his rivals have. And maybe those hard tyres will be a bit better towards the end of the race. But as things stand, those medium tyres, they are the tyres to have at this stage of the race.
Yeah, just looking at the front of the grid, Hyped is trying to break that toe so many times. He's really feeling the pressure. I think his medium tyres, he knows, are coming to the end, as they are now going to go down into Turn 1. GTX is going to get that DRS, as we are under yellow flags in Sector 2. They are just going to come up to it in a short while, but it has now cleared, as GTX is right on the back. He's going to get that DRS again. He's only got a little bit of ERS. I don't think he's going to get the move done just yet, as they come now into Turn 4, as Jet gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits again. So it's going to be a close battle. Oh, as GTX has spun. He has spun into the gravel and is off the track. He's going to have to come back on the track safely. So, did he brake under the pressure and clip the curb? It looks like it, coming in to Turn 9, and he has dropped a position, only one, to CPI Collar Killer. The Alpine driver, apologies, as he makes the move up into P2. So now it's Hype versus Collar Killer for that race lead.
Meanwhile, there's a battle here between those that have already pitted. Niklas pitted much earlier than all the others, as he pit under that virtual safety car. We went to the medium tyres. He briefly undercut this group of cars and gained quite a bit, but now dropping back, whereas his tyres are substantially more worn than those around him. Black Yoshi will be the next to likely pass him. As into the pits comes the race leader. Hyped pits. Surely this is going to go to the hard compound tyres. I mean, is that going to be good enough, really, in this final stint of the race to fight this one back? Because, I mean, those hard tyres, I mean, they're going to be much fresher than the mediums that his rivals were on. But as Carl and Rob sets the fast lap of the race, really demonstrating that these guys have a lot of pace on those medium tyres, as Black Yoshi passes Nicholas into turn 1 here. A battle between Cohen Rob and Kierkegaard are continuing to battle here. It's a bit of battle that's been going on all race and could well go on for the rest of it, as these two battle over what is currently 6th position. But we have a couple of drivers out front, a few drivers that are yet to pit in this race. As Timer Azim is catching up to the back of Patuka, and we'll be putting that McLaren under some serious pressure. Those hard tyres on the McLaren just not good as the mediums that Timer Azim has, as that's straight on. Kierkegaard going very wide there, just about keeping it on track, but that has cost him a lot of time, and that sadly could well bring an end to the battle he's been having with Carl and Rob all race long. But he is just within DRS range still, so maybe he can bring this one back. But as things stand, he is behind, as that is a retirement in the pit lane of M&T Ethan, who has called it a day for his race, who's had a bit of a tough time of it today. But hopefully he comes back next week and will be even stronger and get himself a result on the board. Timer Azim in 5th place is going to be pressuring Patuka here, as will the leaders pit, as they do not. So I would imagine those guys are going to be going on to the medium compound, the soft compound tyre, sorry, for the end of this race. The yellow flags out on track are Ethan's car, who has retired in the pits, coming back onto the track, as pulled off at the side of the track, so it's all safe as Timer Azim sends one to the inside there of Patuka into turn 1 and gets that move done nice and easy. Patuka on those hard tyres just does not have the grip to fight it, and he does have the DRS, but I doubt he's going to have the run up the hill to make the move, or does he? No, not quite close enough. Nearly, but not quite, as they make their way through turn 4, and Timer Azim puts himself in an even strong position in this race, as he is now the net race leader, and I'm sure in a few laps' time will be the actual race leader.
Yeah, it's definitely getting interesting between the tyre compounds. A few people struggling on the medium tyres now, with them being 14 laps worn. So the hard compound tyres, as we know, take a few laps to just bed in and, you know, get used to the track surface and the track temperature. As a sector 1, which, I think that is Jets. Yep, Jets
safety
is
car.
Now a safety car. We have our first safety car of the evening, so this is going to be a crucial point for the top 3 drivers. Will they make the pits, or will they keep out and risk a pit stop that potentially would be a free pit stop, because it is now under safety car? So we'll just see if the top 3. Yep, Collar Killer is now in the pits.
I think this could be worth the risk to go to softs here. The hards would be the safe option, but a lot of these guys could well risk it for softs, and they certainly is the case for Collar Killer. If these guys can make this soft strategy work, as a lot of the field does indeed all come into the pits, Timer Azim and Carwin Rob do stay out, but the rest of the field does pit. Those that could go to mediums will go to mediums, as the medium tyres are stronger. But these guys are all coming on to a fresh set of tyres. Carwin Rob and Timer Azim, have they perhaps made a mistake here, as they will have the rest of the field behind them on fresh tyres? So this really has thrown a spanner in the works for a driver who looks set to have this in the form of Timer Azim.
Yeah, as now we are under the safety car. Don't be fooled, that's not a Ferrari leading. That is an actual Aston Martin safety car leading, which is Bert Mylander, well, virtual Bert Mylander, should I say, is now effectively the race leader, with the Aston Martin, who will then eventually, when the safety car goes in, be that safety car. We are on lap 16 of 29 in the season 29 F9 PS4 tier in PSGL. It's been absolutely fantastic so far. We've had a wide range of strategies from all the drivers, different tyre compounds as well. We are going to be in for an absolute battle in the last remaining laps once the safety car goes in.
So these drivers now behind the safety car, as it will be, I'd imagine, another lap or two before these guys come in. Well, the safety car comes in, so that they'll go back to racing. But I mean, there's a few cars that are still way off the back of the pack, so it'll be at least one more lap here. However, I imagine that these guys will all be back into the pack by the end of it. Timer Azim and Carmen Rob have, well, dug themselves a bit of a hole here that they're going to struggle to get out of. It is a real test here for Timer Azim. He's been dominant, quite frankly, all race long. Of course, he had a few scares early on at the start and a few other times during the race. However, now he's 5 lap old mediums compared to, well, either fresh softs or fresh mediums behind. It is not impossible for him to win this still, but his job has just got a lot harder, and with how close the field was already, you'd imagine the fresh tyres would make the difference. As the final few cars in the field are nearly at the back of the pack now, so I'm sure we will be going green back at the end of this lap.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race restart, as the Aston Martin driver is on the medium compound. He is 5 laps worn on them. He's got a lot of drivers with fresh compound tyres on their car, so he's under a lot of pressure, but he knows how to win. He's won in PSGL before, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one when we come to restart the race, as the drivers are now coming into turn 10, as they are at a reduced speed at the moment. So we'll just wait to see if the safety car will come in this lap. We will get a signal from the game, so we'll just wait and see if it does come in. It may be a little bit late, so we just have to be patient.
As the sector 3 split here is quite late on in Bahrain, the final sector very much being 2 corners realistically, although it is labelled as 3. The safety car is indeed in this lap, and the field prepares to get back to green flag racing. Timer Azim leading the safety car restart with just about 12 laps left in this race. Can Timer Azim hold on, or will it be one of the fresh tyre runners getting ahead? Got Collar Killer, the lead driver on the fresh softs, Patuka, the lead driver on the fresh mediums, who is going to come out on top here in round 1 in Bahrain. 12 laps left to go. When will Timer Azim relaunch the field? Still holding them back. Is he going to go yet? He's going now. We are back under green flags here in Bahrain, and Timer Azim leads the field back to green with 12 laps remaining in this race. Carmen Rob with a decent restart, but is it good enough? As Collar Killer going to go straight down the inside on those fresh softs. He needs to use the grip they have whilst he has them, but it's a bit of a scruffy move there, and it isn't quite completed as a car around. That is Black Yoshi, one of the drivers who was so strong earlier on in the race, is having some issues now as he's spun on the restart. As a big pack here battling into turn 4. Collar Killer around the outside of turn 4 and gets himself up to second. As that is GTX up into third. They're flying past some of the other drivers. Hype just spun as well now, so 2 drivers that have been big factors in this race so far have been dropping down the order on this restart with some mistakes. Patuka on these medium tyres. He's going to have to try and battle these soft tyre runners here. He knows he's going to have less grip at the moment, so perhaps it is worth the wait and to protect your wing, but no, he's going to try and go all the way around the outside there at the tricky turn 10. Is he going to pull it off though? To be fair to him, he's kept it going. Can he manage this overtake around the sort of turn 10? It's going to be a tight one as they make their way into turn 11 now. Can he go around the outside again of the Red Bull of Dan? And he does pull it off this time all the way around that side. But can Dan fight back around the outside of the next one? No, he can't. That's a smart move by Dan to back out of that one, because he knows there'll be a chance again. But that's up the inside. Charging up the inside is Carlsberry there, setting up the inside of Kierkegaard and not able to pull it off. A bit of a late one. I think he's lucky to get away with that without any sort of damage, because that was a very late move there. Completely legitimate, but maybe will have caught Kierkegaard off guard there as the leaders make their way down the straight. And GTX is going to be passing Collar Killer here as they head down towards Terminal. It's a very easy move there for GTX, who's shown good pace earlier on in this race. However, now at this stage, not having quite a good time of it. Well, earlier on showed good pace, then had a bad time of it when he spun off from second place, and now he's been given a second chance in this race, and he is using it as Black Yoshi has spun yet again, as Niklas did come into the pits at the end of that lap. Perhaps picking up some damage on the restart as they're battling throughout the field here. Coming through turn 4, big pack of drivers battling it away. Daniel in 10th place at the moment, just getting ahead of Jamie as they make their way down the hill again in this race, and that's very wide there for Kierkegaard, who is having a mixed time of it so far today. However, not loving the medium tyres on this restart. However, has got ahead of Carlsberry and is staying there at the moment. However, you'd imagine those fresher soft tyres are going to be very strong here. Carmen Rob still holding his own here as they battle away up at the front. GTX is really pressuring the race leader Timer Azim here, but honestly with Tamer Azimi's got to be smart about this one, because he is battling a driver who's on very fresh soft tyres. I think it's important for him to hold him up, but not hold him up too much that he loses too much time to those behind. I think the best bet here for Tamer Azimi is to try and defend as long as he can, but not ruin his race to defend, because if he can defend and then stay within the DRS of GTX whilst those soft tyres are at their best, then there may well be another chance for him at the end of the race when his mediums come back into the fight as the soft staff. But GTX does take the lead here with the fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly. Going into turn 1, diving it late on the brakes, Tamer Azimi can do nothing but watch as GTX sends it into turn 1, and now Tamer Azimi has to look back into his mirrors as Carl Killer is going to be all over the back of him, but the DRS for Tamer Azimi may well be enough to hold on for just one more corner.
Yeah, it's definitely getting interesting at the front of the... Oh, as Kierkegaard has got a time penalty.
Oh, big crash. Sorry, massive crash there. Kierkegaard and Carlsbury have gone off together coming out of turn 4. Going into turn 5, the two have come together, and Carlsbury's lost an entire front. That's another car off. That's Porty, who's gone off, and he's lost his wing now. There's so many cars all over the place now on this restart as it is all going mad. Sorry for interrupting you there, but these drivers getting quite instant happy on this late restart.
Yeah, it's all kicking off at the moment in Bahrain, but there's still a race to win in Bahrain. Who is going to win this Bahrain Grand Prix? 9 laps left. It's either going to be GTX, or it's going to be the Aston Martin driver, or it's going to be Collar Killer. Which one of the three? If you also are enjoying, or you want to catch any of the other PSGL tiers which run through the week, then do hit that like and do subscribe to the channel, and you'll never miss any of the action in PSGL.
Collar going into second place now in the Alpine. He's going to jump ahead of Tamer Azimi as his race is falling apart now. He's just going to have to hold on now to see what he can get. What can he take from the situation? Because he's clearly got a lot of pace and could well be a championship contender this season. However, he's got to make sure that he doesn't throw away more than he has to, as there is a crash at the back, and that is a Mercedes of Bandini who's gone around. Coming out of turns 2 and 3, and that is another spinner on this restart. I mean, it's a few laps after the restart now. I think it's getting to the stage now where he is very much back in the race, but a few drivers struggling at this stage, as perhaps pushing a little bit too hard with the fresh tyres, thinking they have more than they actually do. As the field makes their way down into the tricky turn 10, GTX really is pulling away out front. Can Collar Killer take the fight to him? Can Tamer Azimi hold on long enough to try and at least take away some good points, or maybe even fight back later in the race? But now that he's even coming under pressure from Carl and Rob, who is on the same tyres as Tamer Azimi, so if he's coming under pressure from that, perhaps it is a deeper issue there for Tamer Azimi, other than just the strategy that those soft runners are on. Patuka here, he's thinking he needs to get past these two very quickly, because those medium tyres come at the end of this race could be very, very important. If you have another spin, and that's Niklas, who spun going into the hairpin down at turn 8. But Patuka here, he needs to get past these two other medium runners, because he knows that those medium tyres could well be the quickest tyres that anyone has at the end of this race, because of being medium tyres that are relatively fresh compared to the softs that are going to be dying at the end of this race, and the older mediums that will be dying at the end of this race. But I say that, could the softs already be going off the cliff here? Tamer Azimi is fighting back on Collar Killer. Could the soft tyres already be starting to feel the pain of the wear you get here in Bahrain? And he's already coming back into pressure from Tamer Azimi as Carbon Rob is looking at the move. That's perhaps a mistake from Collar Killer as he is struggling on these tyres. Carbon Rob's all over the back of Tamer Azimi. Can he make the move down into the downhill S section? Not able to at this time. But Patuka continues to watch on here, knowing that he could well have the tyres to win this race. But at the moment it is stuck behind this group of cars who are all in a bit of a train.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get interesting. I think these last roughly around about 4 or 5 laps, as the McLaren driver, he's got, well, the only McLaren driver left, as his teammate is out of the race. He's going to get that DRS coming out of turn 10 into turn 11. He wants to be careful not to hit the curb, as you can spin as they come now through the kind of S section of the track. He's going to get straight back on that power. He's right on the back of Rob in the Alfa Romeo car. He's going to get DRS. Yep, he's going to get DRS. He's got roughly around about 40% of ERS as well, so he's going to really put the power on. But it looks like Rob has got DRS as well. They all having a look, but the door gets closed on them into turn 1. They all now go through to turn 1, into turn 2 and 3, straight back on that power. They're not going to have much ERS, but they are going to have the DRS into turn 4. They can go a little bit wide in turn 4, not too much because of track limits, as we have seen already in the race. But it looks like the McLaren driver is really on the back going into turn 9. And
oh, he spins!
Oh, he spun! Is that due to some dirty air? He's got to be careful where he rejoins. Luckily, Ghostin, I think, is on as Carlsbury sets the fastest lap with a 1:26.3. Is he in the top 10? No, he isn't, so he won't get the fastest lap. As it looks like the Williams and the McLaren driver, because of Ghostin, they were inside each other. Luckily, Ghostin has now sorted itself out. But the McLaren made the mistake and is now outside of the points, as Nicolas has left the session, as he has DNF'd, as Sector 3 is showing... Oh, that's in the pits, so he's retired in the pits. So, as GTX leads this race, 23 laps done of 29, so it's all to play for in these last laps, as Pet Acker is now really on the back of the Williams driver coming into the DRS zone. He's got around about 35% left of the ERS. He's going to get on that power. He's going to go for the move down the start-finish line. Is he going to get the move done already into turn 1? It looks like also Hype is going to get it done on Black Yoshi as well. They've both got moves done, but it looks like Yoshi is coming back for that P8 spot in the points, and Black Yoshi retains his position as they now come into turn 4. It looks like a battle for P8 between Black Yoshi, Hyped, one of the McLaren drivers, and maybe, possibly, it looks like Black Yoshi's teammate, which is Dusty, on the back as well. So he's got a little bit of support. Looks like it is a Williams group at the moment between the two teammates. As they now come into turn 10, they're all going to have DRS, so it's going to really be who makes the move for a position. It looks like they're all going to keep nice and tight in at the moment. It is a battle for points at the moment. It looks like a battle for P8 between 4 cars at the moment. 3 different constructors teams at the moment of Williams, Haas and McLaren, as Kierkegaard has got a 3-second time penalty, so has Bandini with a 3-second time penalty. So that is going to affect them at the end of the race when the penalties are applied, as the McLaren driver has got DRS. Is he going to get the move? And it looks like Hype is going to have a look. No, the door gets closed on him into turn 1, as Bandini gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. As Bandini has retired, his evening is over, as he is now retired and out of the race. But it is getting really hot for P8 at the moment, as P7.
Daniel spun coming up the hill, which has boosted all these guys up a position.
Apologies, as Colesbury has now retired in the pits. He is unfortunately fit, as Kierkegaard has now retired. As there is a safety car.
Safety car's deployed.
With 4 laps left, we have a safety car. This is going to absolutely cause a fantastic finish. 4 laps remaining in PSGL's PS4 F9 tier. It is unbelievable. GTX is now going to have to really get that restart right, as we are now going to have a 4-lap sprint in F9 for the race win, or even a potential podium. Is anybody going to pit? It is all to play for still in Bahrain this evening.
And I mean, I must admit, if you're Colesbury right now, you're feeling quite silly, because he came into the pits because he was way off the pack and retired just a few seconds before that, as there's loads of cars pitting at the back. Just a few seconds before that safety car came out. If he had just waited a lap longer to retire in the pits, he would have seen the safety car come out and would have stayed out there, and would have continued to race here. Also, whilst you were commentating, we also saw there was a change for second place, as Timer Azim got back up into the second position ahead of Colicula. So those soft tyres, I doubt, are no better than the medium tyres come the end of this race. And, well, I think we're in for what could be a very entertaining end to this race. Because, I mean, top 5 here have all committed. The top 5 are all pretty equally on worn tyres. Because the 2 on the mediums are on obviously significantly more worn medium tyres because they didn't pit under the last safety car. However, because those mediums do last that little bit longer, in terms of the wear compared to the other drivers, whilst the wear will be more, the medium tyres can take that a little bit more and will be at, I would imagine, quite a similar pace here because the softs will be further into their tyre wear area. I get bad way of phrasing it, I know, but the mediums and softs I imagine will be fairly equal here because the softs will be equally as dead as the mediums. I imagine both of those tyres would probably be pitting in a couple laps time if it wasn't for the race ending then. So those guys committing to a strategy that I mean, there's 5 of them out there on this strategy. I must admit, being up GTX Untitled Regime, you wouldn't feel too bad about this. You've got sort of a bit of safety behind you. If you're Jamie, you're not feeling too good right now because you've got so many cars behind you on such fresh tyres. You're feeling a bit worried as you see this group of cars come, well, quite... Oh, they're going to be so quick on this restart. I doubt he can do much about it. Maybe just try and hang on to a few points coming into this race, but it's going to be a tough one for Jamie to try and fight back and hold on to this top 5 position.
Yeah, also a quick mention, it's been an absolutely fantastic race for GTX and Collar Killer, who have made 11 positions in the race, and also Dan, who is currently in P6, has made up 9. The biggest losses of the race is Kierkegaard, who has dropped 10 positions, and Nicholas, who dropped 7. Black Yoshi dropped 5. The other McLaren has dropped 5 as well. Jamie has gone up 2. There's a few others that have dropped 5 positions as well. So it's definitely been an interesting race. It looks like we are literally going to have maybe 1 or 2 laps of racing left. So it's literally going to be like the real life F1 sprint qualifying where it's whoever gets to the line first is going to win. Rob in the Alfa Romeo has got a penalty, so he at the moment would drop into it, possibly. Let me just check what the penalty is. It's a 3-second time penalty, so he would drop literally out of the points to possibly P11 if he doesn't get his restart right. But we'll just wait for the safety car, as GTX will do the safety car restart this time in the Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeos have done quite well this race. They are currently sitting in P1 and P4, potentially a double podium for Alfa Romeo this evening. It might be still on the cards if Rob can get the restart right and not let anyone pass him. He has got Jamie right behind him on that safety car. As the safety car is now in this lap, we are going to go for 2 laps of racing left in PSGL for the F9 tier in PS4 this evening. It is going to be a 2-lap race sprint for the race win or even a podium. Who is going to take the top 3 this evening, as we now wait for GTX to restart the race? At the moment, nobody will get the fastest lap, as Cosbury is with the fastest lap. As the safety car is now in the pits, and it looks like GTX has already gone, and he is already past the start-finish line, and I think he's kept everyone guessing, but has caught them off guard, as he is already on his way.
Great restart there for GTX, who's pulled a gap already over the field, and he'll need to with the tyres that he is on. As the field charge their way up to turn 4 now, can the guys on the fresher tyres do much about it as they are battling away here? And can they all survive this tough little battle here, as it's nearly 3 wide going into the S section? There's at least 2 wide there. It could be some small contact as they make their way down the hill. It's going to be got to be careful here, because I mean, of course all these guys are looking for the top prize, but at the same time got to look at the points. Just back home a decent amount of points for round 1, and you should really be quite happy, as it's a decent way of starting the season. As around the outside, can Black Josh go all the way around outside there? A bit of a touch there from the Haas car of Jamie, but Black Josh is going to manage to do it all the way around the outside. It looks like he's going to manage it here as they make their way into turn 11. Can he do it? around the outside of turn 11. We saw other drivers do it earlier in the race, and he does manage it. And he's not going to be the only one, as Patuka follows him through as they come up the hill. As the Haas cars going wheel to wheel, coming through, and that's off the road. Goes Jamie. Oh, and he's come back on us. That's going to be a big crash for Jamie, who's gone straight off at the exit of the very high-speed right-hand corner there. And a bit of a risky rejoin there. And that has gone very badly for the Haas driver, who was in P5 just on the restart here. But the drivers are battling away, making their way down towards turn 1 to start the final lap of the race. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you've been waiting for. The final lap is underway. Can GTX hold on here, or can Time Regime get close enough on this final lap as they're battling for third place? Collar Killer and Cohen Rob battling away for this third position as they come up through turn 3 now, heading down towards turn 4. Can Collar Killer hold on to this podium position? It's going to be nearly 3 wide again into turn 4. Can Cohen Rob hold on? He's going to be going off the road very slightly. Can he keep it in there? Can Black Yoshi, who's been, well, he's been all over the field today. He's been at the front, he's been in the mid-pack, he's been at the back. Can he get himself into this fight for the podium? As there's a little bit of bumping and barging further down the order, but they're all going to get through. Turn 8 is now dive through down turn 9 and turn 10. Cohen Rob is on the back of Collar Killer, but will he get the opportunity to pass him, as Time Regime is not looking like he's close enough for the win at the moment. The battle for the podium, though, is all to play for. Can Cohen Rob go up the inside? He's going to give it a go, but he's going to back out there. Black Yosh going to go all the way around the outside and followed through. Has he managed it? Yes. Patuka is also going to try it, but pushing Collar Killer through the flat out turn right. He is going to get up into third place. Goes Black Yoshi. What an outstanding move there to get himself up into third place, but can he hold on? Meanwhile, at the front, GTX is going to take a fantastic victory here, mastering the strategy, mastering the safety cars. GTX is your F9 Round 1 race winner here in Season 29, as Time Regime gets a solid P2 there. The driver that looked set to win it from the start had a bit of a tough one, but he fights back from a bit of a tough strategy. He fights back from it and ends the race in second place. Black Yoshi with a strong fight back throughout the field he has been today, and he ends up in third position after a strong drive on those soft tyres at the end. Collar Killer holds on to grab that fourth position, not quite the podium that he would have wanted, but it is still a fantastic way to start the season. Dustly taking very, very strong points for Williams here with a third and a fifth, as Porty is in the sixth position for Aston Martin. Seventh is Patuka, eighth is Dan, ninth is Hype, who at one stage in this race was looking like a potential race winner, but sadly it wasn't to be, as Cohen Rob ended up in 10th after being in that fight for the podium. It just all went wrong for him in that final 2 sectors of the lap, and he ended up in 10th, but still a point to take home for the Alfa Romeo driver.
Wow, what a fantastic race we had in Bahrain this evening in PSGL for F9 on PS4, as there is your top 3 this evening. 3 different constructors of Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo, and I believe that's a Williams. Yes, it is a Williams. So 3 different drivers, 3 different constructors, and that is Bahrain done in F9 for PSGL this evening. Any thoughts on the race this evening, Jackson?
I mean, it was as we could ask, really. It had a good range of everything. It had a good sort of few drivers up at the front that were with the pace to win. You had sort of the mix of strategies, the safety cars that threw everything into question. I mean, it was impossible to predict throughout the race. You never knew who was going to come out on top, and it was just phenomenal to watch and phenomenal to commentate on. And was an absolute pleasure here, because, as I said, you never knew what was going to happen next. And in the end, it was a great drive from GTX to seal that victory for the Alfa Romeo team. And I want to say a quick thank you to everyone that stuck with us throughout that race and watched it throughout. Because, I mean, I think you'll agree with me, that was a fantastic race to watch. And it was just phenomenal to watch. So thank you to everyone that watched today and joined us watching this a beauty of a race.
Yep, it's another one in the books for PSGL. If you did like and enjoy the race, then do hit that like button and do press that subscribe button if you want to catch any more of the PSGL action for Season 29. And we will be back next week for Round 2. And it's a good night from myself, NXR, Storm, and it's a good night from Jamie. Jackson, I meant.
It's alright. Yeah. Bye, everyone.